63 degrees under cloudy skies at KGAB. 7:42 as we come back in the morning zone. Well, in Egypt, Christian homes and businesses are being marked with black X's by members of the Muslim Brotherhood. And that's just the half of it. At least 60 churches have been targeted, along with Christian schools, homes, businesses, and even an orphanage, according to conservative estimates. In the areas of Minya, Beni, Suif, Foyam, and Sia, Christian homes and businesses have been receiving leaflets warning them to leave or face reprisals of Islam in Egypt. So what does the Bible say about all this? What's happening in Egypt, and what should Christians be worried about here, both in America and abroad? To talk about that this morning, I am pleased to welcome to the program Arthur D. Alley, who is a world-renowned finance expert and founder and president of the Timothy Plan and an authority on biblical content. Welcome to the show, Art. I appreciate you being on with me.
Hi, Dave. Could I tell my wife that world-renowned part? That was
yeah. There you go.
I did learn something, by the way.
What's that?
Us people here in Florida think it always just snows in Wyoming.
No.
There's nice weather out there.
Yeah, we have summertime occasionally. Okay. It's been in the 90s and going to be back there again today.
Yeah.
We just don't have the humidity you do. My wife is from Florida.
Yeah, we do have that.
Indeed.
But, you're right on. What's going on in Egypt, it's just a continuation. Islam is not a religion. It is a vicious political movement that is intent on world domination. The press has suddenly shifted. The administration and all of Congress has suddenly shifted their attention from Egypt to Syria, and there is no difference. The Islamists are wreaking havoc on Christians. They hate Christians. They hate Jews. The war is spiritual. It is darkness versus light. But I'm here to tell you, anybody listening to this show that believes anything that's written in the media or anything coming out of Washington, D.C., call me, because I've got a bridge I'd like to sell you. Can I just talk a minute about Syria? That's what's in the news right now.
Absolutely, and Congress...
That's what Washington is preparing through lies, through deception, that everybody's buying. They are determined. These rebels fighting against Assad are Al-Qaeda. And we're being told we have no choice but to help these rabid jihadist terrorists that are slaughtering. They are slaughtering entire Christian villages, brutally raping Christian women, and joyfully beheading Christian prisoners. The media doesn't tell you any of that. Now, in fairness, Assad is not a good guy. In fact, he's horrible. He ought to be in prison somewhere. But just because a country has a bad leader does not mean we have justification to attack them. You are seeing it. That is in the hottest news right now. And if we do try to remove Assad, it is going to unleash hell. Unleash hell in the Middle East.
Well,
Syria has already threatened to attack Israel if the U.S. tries to remove Assad, and so has Hezbollah. Right now, there are 70,000 Hezbollah rockets aimed at Israel. And they start sending those rockets into the heart of Tel Aviv. Israel is not going to stand for it, and the odds are they are going to respond by absolutely flattening Damascus. Now, that's a city of 1.7 million people that are going to be gone permanently. These politicians have no idea of the hell they're about to unleash.
Well, and the irony is, and I wrote a little column on our website about this yesterday, the irony is that the administration and those in Congress who are following the administration's lead on this are saying, oh, well, we have to do this. We have to to punish the Syrian government for all of the thousands of people that it's killed with this sarin gas, and before that, the thousands who were just killed in the Civil War. Somehow, it's lost on me how us getting involved with airstrikes and killing thousands more makes that better. I don't get that.
Yeah, back up a minute, though. I think the facts that are not coming out prove that all of that is an intentional deception on the American people.
Sure.
Because Assad is probably not the guy using chemical weapons. In fact, the UN has evidence that the Syrian rebels, the one we're siding with, these jihadists, have been using sarin gas against Assad forces since May. It's the other way around. Our administration is, I'm sorry, but I believe that this guy sitting in the White House is a jihadist himself, and he is using all kinds of deception, and people are soundbite people today. We've been conditioned for that. Just tell us, in a quick nanosecond what's going on, and we'll believe it if the media writes it. But why would we want to enter a war on the side of Christian killers?
Exactly.
In areas of Syria controlled by the rebels, the Christians are being brutally treated, just like in Egypt.
Yes.
In fact, a Christian missionary who recently visited the region said, here's what's happening over there, and it's the rebels doing it. Christians have four choices. Renounce the idolatry of Christianity and convert to Islam, or pay a heavy tribute to the Muslims for the privilege of keeping their heads, or be killed, or flee for their lives, as you mentioned in Egypt. But when you flee for your life, you leave all your belongings behind.
Sure.
It is incredible. These jihadists are the ones that our president is trying to convince us that we ought to be supporting, and they're worse than the regime in there. They're both bad.
He publicly stated that, we had nothing to worry about with the Muslim Brotherhood. They were a peaceful organization that would bring democracy to Egypt. Yeah.
I'm sorry. And NSA, if you're listening to this conversation, you know the truth.
Yeah.
But report it in. I'm ready to go to jail if I have to. I am tired of it. And when are the American people going to wake up, understand that when people in Washington are moving their lips, they're lying to us? The media is deceiving us. We ought to be starting to seek what's really going on. What is the truth? And we just don't seem to have time to do that.
Let's take a listener call. Good morning. You're on with Arthur Alley.
Oh, by God, sounds like you got another one of them paranoid delusional schizophrenics on.
There you go.
Yeah.
I was sick of it.
Yeah, well, yeah. Well, it's kind of. Well, I echo your sentiments, and and what happens with is that people have been conditioned to the educational systems has in the early days has conditioned people into, if the teacher said it or the newspaper said it, it's the truth. It has to be the truth because they wouldn't lie to you. And this has become a quote-unquote belief. Now, that is a kind of an enforced belief. Believing something is basically just accepting it, whether it's true or not, as truth without really verifying it for yourself. And, of course, if you're going to be suspicious and skeptical, well, you're labeled a conspiracy theorist. So what has to happen is, as I see it, is people have to basically break their programming, which is a difficult thing to do, because especially those who do break their programming are turned upon by the herd like the wolf pack turns upon the lone wolf, and the person is either flees or is torn to pieces. That's part of the problem that I see here. So anyway, carry on, and remember, don't blame me. I voted for Ron Paul.
Yeah, but, Washington is broken. Mm-hmm. Washington cannot be fixed. It is self-serving. Over the last 50 years, we've had Republicans dominating Washington. We've had Democrats dominating Washington. We've had the mixture most of the time between the two, and nothing changes. When are we going to wake up to the fact that it doesn't matter who we send there? Nothing is going to change from Washington, D.C. It is an out-of-control, unconstitutional body of people who are self-serving. And we've come to the conclusion that, the administration is trying to make things black and white. They are racist, trying to incite racism on our black brothers and sisters. And it's working, unfortunately. That's not the problem, black and white. The problem isn't Republican, Democrat. The problem isn't conservative, liberal. Those labels have distracted us and have lost any meaning. Our problem today is tyranny versus liberty.
Exactly.
And tyranny is going on in Washington, D.C., and unless some state steps up and stands on the Constitution and draws a line in the sand and said, you know what, Washington, you have no authority in this state to do this. You have no authority to tell us we have to perform abortions. You have no authority to tell us we have to perform or recognize same-sex marriages, in exact contradiction to God's natural law. You have no authority, EPA, to tell us what we can and cannot do. And by the way, you have no authority to impose Obamacare in our state. And in our state, it's okay to be a Christian, which is a radical idea today on a country that was founded on biblical Christian principles.
Mm-hmm. I heard a commentator yesterday say that if, and it looks like it will happen, Congress supports President Obama and authorizes a military strike against Syria, against the will of the American people, and all the polls show that the American people do not support this, then what we have and what we have proof of is that we have returned to tyranny, and we are no longer a government of the people, by the people, and for the people. We are back to where we began against King George.
Dave, you're absolutely right, and we're exactly in that same. We didn't have a revolutionary war. We had a war for independence because King George violated the laws. He became tyrannical. There were laws set up when they first started this country. He just ignored them. We have laws set up called the Constitution. Those guys ignore it. I believe we have one shot left, and I believe it's the midterm elections in 2014 to, in some state, and there is a state that's going to be doing this. I can't say yet, but keep watching. One state is going to draw a line in the sand. If the right guy in the legislature backs him, gets elected, wins the election, they are going to stand on the Constitution and tell Washington, if you don't like it, come get us. And
that's right.
What can they do?
Well, you're right.
What can they do?
And I mean, they blackmail the states with federal dollars.
That's
at
exactly
every time.
right. We've got some great governors who are conservative, but they're going along with the Washington thing because of the money.
Classic
There's a
example.
term for that in culture.
Yeah.
It's called prostitution.
Yes.
I'm sorry, but I'm not happy right now because the caller was right. Americans have been conditioned over 2 generations to lose the ability to think. We don't think anymore.
And not only that, but we have such influence by the federal government in our public schools through programs like
they have no authority
No Child
to do
Left
that.
Behind and Common Core curriculum.
Exactly. That's going to be another disaster.
Oh, it is. And
they have no authority to do that.
We are teaching.
Constitutionally.
We no longer are teaching our children how to think. We're teaching them what to think.
Well, it's even what to think, but it's more than that. Remember, in days past, it used to be, well, Dave, what do you think about that?
Yeah.
Today's conversation is, Dave, how do you feel about that?
Oh, yes.
That is a major difference.
Well, Art, we're out of time, but is there a website where folks can find out more about
Well, there
the
is,
Timothy Club?
and it's not about this. I mean, this is just the topic of the day, but we are a biblically based mutual fund family. Because, bottom line, it's all about money. We will not own shares of companies that are funding evil.
Right.
And people that are sick of that need to come to our website, timothyplan.com, or call 1-800-TIM-PLAN, and we can tell you all about it.
Very well. Arthur Alley, thank you so much for being with us today, and God bless you for the work you do.
Dave, keep shining the light. Keep up the good work. Thank you.
You're in the Morning Zone on AM 650 KGAB.